GM, everybody. How you all doing? Hey, Michelle. Hey, Gerry. How are you guys?
Hey, Harshith. Doing well. How are you?
Doing good as well. And happy Valentine's Day to both of you.
Happy Valentine's.
Yes, yes. So I think there's a lot of discussion going on about the Blur airdrop. And we're also here with our amazing co-host to talk about if karma is a bitch or a bro, and also learn about what base AF is. So, yes.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Gerry. Yes.
Cool. If it's okay with you guys, I might play the intro music and just let everyone have a few moments to get into the room, and then we can kick it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect. We can do that.
Karma. What goes around comes around, right? Right. How you treat people is how they'll treat you back. Disrespect them or knock them, they're gonna slap you back. Yeah. Sometimes it hurts, and that's bad karma. Watch out for it. How am I supposed to live in a world full of negative? How am I supposed to love in a world full of push and shove? How am I supposed to breathe in a world full of lust and greed? Well, I guess I'll have to forget and say it pretty good that I'll be okay. These fat rats think they fit like they the Iron Man. I got the iron tongue and the iron hand. I'll make the final stand. The final showdowns come round to hit ya as I throw down my gauntlet to switch the picture. If ya look in the mirror, you're bound to get a reflection. Like with every action, there is a reaction. With your dodgy actions, it causes negative drama. And if you know God's law, you best watch for karma. Now,
Are you ready for the show?
Let's fucking go!
Little baby, don't say a word. Who's next?
All right. Let's fucking go indeed. Welcome to the first ever Based Space, a weekly Twitter space made by the BasedHeads, for the BasedHeads and the wider Web3 community and beyond. A place to chat about all that's happening in Trashland, on YouTube, and in the broader metaverse. Before I pass the mic over to my esteemed co-hosts, let's cover what Based AF is and what the BasedHeads represent. Based AF is a metaverse-centric content creation monster, producing viral content to rival the likes of Mr. Beast. Think of it like MTV, but for the metaverse. And the BasedHeads digital collectibles are your backstage pass, where you can feature in the content, help drive the narrative, and even share in the spoils. So with that out of the way, my name is Gerry, and in the cockpit with me to my right is the moderator extraordinaire, a true Web3 degen and all-round good guy, Harshith, and to my left is Michelle, an amazing artist, a freak of finance, and a crypto native for over a decade. Michelle, let's get into it. The mic is yours.
Oh, thank you, Gerry. This is great. I appreciate that intro. That's wonderful. Let's get a little bit of the room etiquette out of the way. We want this to be an open forum for people to come up, everyone to come up, give opinions. We're going to ask some questions, hopefully some open-ended questions, get some debate going, friendly debate, nothing crazy. Everybody will have about 2 minutes to talk. So got to keep it succinct and moving along. We'll be going for about an hour. And first, we're going to talk about a little bit of background on BasedHeads and what's going on there. Harshith, would you like to give a little bit of background on what's going on with the BasedHeads, a little bit of update of what we got going on right now?
100%. So all of you, I think Gerry has done an amazing introduction there about what BasedHeads is and why BasedHeads is like a multimedia production company with a focus on creating content, and also like MTV, which he pointed out, which is 100% correct. So like creating bonkers content for the metaverse. But if you guys were like super active on Twitter already, you must have known that there was a marathon, a 9-hour marathon, where Supermassive was running on an omnidirectional treadmill for 9 hours, right? So I think that's something we're waiting for. We're going to be posting that video so very soon on our YouTube channel. So that's what everyone's super excited about. And yes, that's what's going on currently.
Yeah, and we have the dating site coming up for Valentine's. That's going to be interesting. We've seen some clips on Twitter from that. We've got all sorts of stuff going on, all sorts of little media fun stuff. I know Supermassive's been on the media tour and doing editing a lot, and we're getting ready to get going. It's going to be awesome. Do you want to start out with Gerry, do you have anything to add to that, or should we get into our discussion questions? And anybody can ask questions. Just put your hand up and we'll bring you up to speak. If you have any questions about BasedHeads, we're not official of BasedHeads. We're just a team of crazy BasedHeads that want to get together and do this for the community and with the community. Just bring everybody a little bit closer together.
I guess, Michelle, maybe before we get into the questions, I might just give a quick summary of a big update that Supermassive put out over the weekend.
Yes, please.
One of our users actually did us the honor of running it through ChatGPT to simplify it all. So I think it was Mahathir who did that for us, but I'll just re-recite some of it. But basically, BasedAF is looking to increase their production content and reduce the workload of Supermassive, because historically, Robert Schmidt, Supermassive, if you're not familiar with him, he was the face of the Defiant DeFi channel, and he grew that to over 100,000 followers over about 12 months. But before that, he's sort of been a budding filmmaker, done a lot of short form content for television, that sort of thing. But he's often had to do it with very, very limited budget and support. So historically, he's been, the script writer, the director, the video editor, all of those things. And since he joined the Defiant, he had to turn the camera onto himself. So he's now the subject matter as well. So trying to do all of those jobs while training your team on, your vision and how you want it to be implemented has probably taken some time. And they haven't quite got as much content out over the last probably 3 weeks as they would have liked. But that's soon to change. So that's one area of focus. They're trying to improve that, and they're also hiring a bunch of people at the moment as well. So they're looking for a presenter/researcher to produce short form content. So they'll be going after vertical videos, for the likes of TikTok and YouTube Shorts. They're going to try and optimize post-production using AI tools if they can. Pre-production for large film projects is also in progress, along with partnerships. As you mentioned, Michelle, they're working on a dating show for Valentine's Day. So they're probably shooting that right now, and I guess we can expect a video on that shortly. What else? There's the virtual production side. So they've got a motion capture studio that they've set up, which is similar to the way Avatar, the movie, was shot, which will allow them to do a lot of real-time stuff from a metaverse environment, which should be quite interesting to see that play out. They're also working on a PFP art for your BasedHeads rather than a full body artwork, so we can flex our BasedHeads on socials a bit more easily. There's an NFT 2.0 wrapper, which is going to basically embed a lot of the extra utility you'll get from the Web3 stuff. There's VRM models, so you'll have full 3D characters at some point, a point system, trophy NFTs. So as you can see, there's an awful lot going on in the background, and to top it all off, there's at least 6 brands that they're trying to build real-world products for eventually as well. So that's probably a pretty good starting point of everything that's gone down in the last maybe week and a half.
Yeah, and the shaft.
I haven't even got to that. Did you want to go through that one, Michelle?
I could. I'm going to be very vague about it just because it's very vague publicly right now. They are working on creating a game, and just short form game, a fun game that everybody can play with some really cool prizes based around a phallic shape that everybody in the community contributed graffiti art to decorate. So I saw the preview pictures for that, and that was just, they were stellar, always above and beyond what I'm expecting. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll hear more about that in the next coming weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love that the idea actually came from one of the community members, and Robin Supermassive. He was like, "Are we really talking about dicks? I mean, come on!" And then an hour later, he's like, "We have to build this, right?" And then the next day, they put the official announcement out with all the lore around the shaft. And it's, the whole thing's a great big piss take basically. But check out the announcement in the Discord. I can't even read it without laughing basically.
Yeah. And, we're talking about dicks apparently, very seriously. It's an oxymoron. So let's get this started. We talk about the metaverse a lot, and it's funny because everybody I talk to has a different view and opinion on what the metaverse and Web3 and all of this is. So I want to ask you, both of you up here, as well as anybody in the community that wants to come up, again, just put your hand up and we'll bring you up to speak. The metaverse. How would you describe the metaverse and how it's going to work and what effect it's going to have on society to your grandmother? Harshith, how would you describe that to your grandmother?
Yeah. So I think I've been having a lot of discussions because I've been traveling a lot, and then just people just ask me, what do you do? And I just tell them, okay, so I'm working with a company based in Netherlands and we're building the metaverse. But then they're like, the fuck is he talking about? So you have to explain it in simpler terms. But then I think it's like super vague. It's the way I see it is not everyone really knows what exactly the metaverse is going to be. Like it's just harder to visualize. But if you think of it, I just feel it's honestly like the trash land, right? It's honestly like bringing all the ideas together in a certain place where it doesn't matter which part of the world you are. It's like network states. Whatever part of the world you are, you can still come and experience yourselves and be whatever the fuck you want to in this place. So that's how I think the metaverse is. Yeah.
I love it. That's great. Gerry, how would you describe the metaverse to your grandmother?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I'm a bit of an open metaverse maxi, so I'm not a huge fan of basically recreating Web 2 with more walled gardens that we're likely definitely going to see a lot of that coming from, Apple and Meta as they push these VR headsets, that type of thing. But the way I would probably try to describe it is it's, for me, the next generation of the internet. And if it's truly open and backed by Web3 infrastructure and Rails, then the users are going to have a lot more freedom and control over their assets and their data and their identity. And then you can really be whatever you want, where you're not beholden to a big Web 2 company and you're stuck in their system. And if you want to move your social graph between different applications, you're in control and you have power of that. So the VR element and making it more immersive, I think that's just another layer of it. It doesn't necessarily have to just be that. It can still be more traditional. I think we're a long way off from mass adoption of VR and even AR. So that's going to take some time to take hold. And I know Robin's point of view is that he thinks that smartphones are dying, but I still reckon there's a couple of decades of them left before we get to that point where we're running around with glasses and full augmented reality, that sort of thing. But it's all exciting and it's all still up for grabs at the moment. So there isn't really a wrong answer.
Yeah, we won't know until we know, right? For me, I think when I think of the metaverse, I think of it like when the iPhone came out, right? Like all of these things did all of these functions. Like you're the iPods, you had some people had a Walkman. You had a phone, you had Notepad, all of these things. And then it combined all of these functionalities in one tool that you could just carry around in your pocket. There's that ad that's famous where it has the guy sitting there with his word processors and all of those things all around him and says, this is all in your pocket now. And I kind of feel like the metaverse will be like that once it's up and running, where everything is converging in this one, I don't want to say platform, but this one base that you can access from many different means, like your phone or your computer or your VR or console, all of the above. But I think the data owning your data and, you know, getting rid of the middle people, those big companies that are using your data and selling your data. Instead, now you will sell your data when you want to other companies. So, and my timeline's a little shorter. I think, you know, we're going to see, I think in the next 5 years, we're really going to see, you know, a change in people's, how they spend their time on the internet and through a bunch of different mechanisms. But I guess we'll see when it happens, right? Is there anybody from the audience that would like to come up and talk about what the metaverse, what they think the metaverse is going to be? I don't see any hands. You guys are all very quiet. I blame Markler. So, Gerry, you mentioned AR and VR. And my next question was, will virtual reality and augmented reality ever become mainstream? And you mentioned... go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, I think the AR might... I think that has a much better chance in the short term, because if you have a look at what the guys at Jardu are doing, and there was another company that I'm trying to remember their name. They did an interview with Jamie Burke from Outlier Ventures just in the last week or two. They've got some crazy AR tech that they've worked on, and it's worked around like basically replacing the geospatial technology that GPS provides, but getting it as a mesh network down on the ground. And it's just made everything super precise with AR, where you really can have 3 or 4 people standing around with their phones, pointing it at the ground at a virtual object and play it with it, you know, just like a video game. It's pretty mind-blowing to see. And that sort of thing, and the Jardu guys, what they're doing with their app, that's like a combat app, 1v1 combat app. That looks really impressive already. And, I mean, when you saw Pokemon Go, how that blew up just based off of GPS, as the tech improves, the experiences are going to improve, and I can definitely see, you know, millions of people being onboarded into more AR, over the next couple of years, probably quicker than the VR, because it's still a huge barrier to entry, the cost for virtual reality for most people. But, you know, more than half of the world's population now have a smartphone in their pockets. So, the barrier for mass adoption is a lot lower for augmented reality than virtual reality. So that's why I still think it's going to take some years to play out. But that's sort of my take on it.
I definitely agree with most of it, or most of what you said. Harshith, what are your thoughts on it?
So I was actually about to shoot a question to Gerry, because in our teaser, right, in the BasedHeads teaser, we actually seen an image of, I think, a small clip of Fluff World. So I think Fluff's also, I think Futureverse is a completely whole different thing, and I think it's amazing to see how Futureverse is shaping out as well. So listening to all the podcasts and what Gerry's Open Metaverse YouTube channel as well. So I actually want to know from Gerry, what do you think about the Futureverse? If you could just share some pointers, because you were also explaining about the VR. So what are your thoughts on the Futureverse? So yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's kind of my core focus, as you sort of mentioned, and I've more or less dedicated my channel to Futureverse content, and I've started to branch out a little bit, especially once Based launched. But it was because, you know, Robin has some connections to Fluffbob by just being a community member. Nothing more than that. He holds fluffs, he holds party bears, and he's featured them in some of the Based AF content because the Futureverse team were pretty progressive in getting their 3D models out. That's one of the reasons. It could have been others. I mean, you've seen some Clone X stuff in there as well. So I think it's actually really clever the way Robin launched Based AF. He was kind of bringing together some of the loyalist fans from some of the best collections with the airdrop. Well, sorry, not the airdrop, with the whitelist, the allow list, I should say. So that was really clever, and I think you'll see a lot of those communities as they have 3D content over time. That interoperability is going to become more prevalent. So I think the Futureverse has probably first mover advantage in this space. Most of the crypto Twitter is focused, looking at monkey buttholes and the other side stuff, but they're actually years behind in terms of their tech. Now, they've got a huge team and massive amount of money, but people don't realize that Futureverse have been building a lot of this tech stack for 5 years or more, and it's about to drop. So, and when I say about to drop, I mean like in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to start bridging our assets over to their new layer 1 blockchain, the Root network, and that's going to start unlocking all of this extra utility for this basically open metaverse environment, which is really what they've positioned themselves to try and set the standard for. So I've got a lot of videos and deep dive content on my channel, so feel free to check them out. There's a bunch of stuff in my pinned tweet as well if you want to learn more. And I don't want to just be here and shill one product. I'm a big believer in the open metaverse. So basically, I just see the Futureverse having a really good shot at being that first mover advantage for the actual infrastructure layer. And the adoption side, well, that remains to be seen. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think for me, Fluff, the thing that's really interesting is that they're building this thing that all of these other projects that we've seen, like Sandbox and Monoverse and all of these metaverse projects can plug into and gain functionality, not just on that they're going to be attached, which is amazing, right? You can walk from one to the other without loading a whole nother situation. And you'll be able to take in all of the earnings and the tokenomics and all of the gamified systems, as well as like the identity protocols and the wallets, to make it simple, like for your grandmother, will be available to these other projects as they plug in, which is, that blew me away when I found out. And there's some other projects too that are doing some really cool things where they've built these modules that you can add to your Web 2 product or game and give it the Web 3 functionality and plug into, these blockchain bonuses. Basically, they're like things that you can, added functionality, and you can pop that into your right over your Web 2 thing. So I think that it's going to be really amazing to see all of these projects joining forces to make something really cool.
Yeah, I definitely like that the way the Futureverse has done it, and a few other projects, things like NBA Top Shots and the Flow Network, where they can abstract away the blockchain layer entirely and allow people to onboard with something as simple as just using their webmail. Now that sort of does go away from the pure crypto ethos of decentralization. I do get that, but there's a huge gap between the crypto natives who just preach decentralization, but also want mainstream adoption. Self-custody, it's quite frankly fucking hard and scary. And we've seen seriously prominent people get rugged and hacked and exploited by making simple mistakes over the last month. Yeah. And that just speaks volumes. If you've got, guys like Kevin Rose screwing up, people who have founded several tech companies, what chance does your grandma have? None. So yeah. we need a safe system that actually protects users and helps onboard them to Web3, shows them the power and the value in it, but holds their hand while doing so. So that's one thing I do like about the Futureverse tech stack. And I'm sure a lot of the other builders are doing that sort of thing, hopefully they're having that in mind. Because I didn't even follow the Super Bowl, but apparently one of the projects put a QR code up and it just took them to a scammy Twitter page. It's just like, is that the best way to onboard people? Seriously?
Yeah. And it's funny because Futureverse is one of the only, I go around and I surf the interwebs and I check out projects regularly just because I'm a nerd like that. And, Futureverse is the only one that I've seen that has proposed a solution to that. I'm not sure exactly how. They haven't released exactly how they're going to try to solve for that, but I'm really interested. It's like, we really need that Web 2.5 to get people over because, I got this email the other day it was actually like a couple months ago, but it said, come claim your NFT in 9 easy steps. And, for the normal person, that is not a feasible thing. Like I can't even get my husband on board because there's so many steps and I have to sit there and walk whoever I'm onboarding through it because I've been through it. But, it really has to be invisible technology. Like you have to, almost like logging into all these other websites with your Google account. Like it's got to be something on that level for mass adoption to ever occur. And people don't even need to know that they're on the blockchain. That's the thing. Like, it's better if they don't, if they just love the technology so much, or, the functionality of the product they're using. That would be the ideal in my eyes. But, we'll see. I have lots of faith in Aaron and Shara and Jesse, so fingers crossed. I think they're cooking up some amazing stuff with those buzzies today. Those are amazing. And I'm glad that we're part of BasedHeads, because we're going to be, riffing and talking about all of these projects, including Fluff and Clones and all of these other projects all at once, which is fun. It's a fun place to be able to riff on all of these things going on.
Yeah, and to be able to take the piss out of the industry when it's warranted as well. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, with that tongue-in-cheek attitude around the absurdity of some of it, as we've seen with this, Dildo dash game that they're working on. Literally just taking the Mickey out of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and their Dookie dash, but also enticing people to get involved and have a bit of fun with it, with community graffiti on the massive shaft, as they call it, stuff like that. But I think you're spot on. Like, that is another thing I really love about the concept of Based AF, is it has the potential to reach a broader audience and show them the good side of Web3, and at the same time not actually try to sell them anything. So it removes that layer of, what is this sketchy stuff? It's a scam. What are they trying to sell me all this stuff for? Where really, it's not even really about the BasedHeads holders, the project. It's more about just making fun content and getting it out there to a broader audience, especially with a Web3 / Metaverse take on the world. And it's going to highlight and show some of the powers of Web3, of interoperability, of these new cool characters that Robin and the guys are running around in their motion capture studio as. So I just can't wait to see what these guys can produce. Has been a little bit of a slow, probably month since the Metaverse Marathon. But when you read how much stuff they've been doing in the background, it's not really a surprise.
Yeah, and they've been in the founders, like Supermassive, has been in the Discord nearly every day, talking to people, answering questions, which is wild considering how much he has on his plate. And just like you mentioned, the good side of Web3. I mean, with the first marathon, we raised $100,000 to go to a children's hospital. How cool is that? I know a lot of other projects do, they fund charities and things like that, but to have that at the core of what you are as a project, I think is really cool. I love that he's trying to do positive things and give back to, really cool charities.
Yeah, it actually plays into the YouTube algo in a way, like doing that sensationalized stuff where you're raising money either for charity or giving away, some ridiculous prize or bounty to the participants in your video. I mean, that is the Mr. Beast model. So it's sort of smart on that front as well, and it plays into how this is going to play out and hopefully get viral over the time. If this can start to generate real revenue, then, the prizes are just going to get more sensational and bigger, and the ambition of each video is going to be bigger than the last. So, it's day one at the moment, basically, but I can't wait to see where we're at in 12 months.
Oh, yeah.
1 million subscribers for sure. That's what our goal is.
Why stop there? Let's go for 5 million.
Yes. Or
that's a 6-month goal.
8000135. That's what I'm super excited about. Yeah.
Everybody likes boobies.
Yes.
We're just going to onboard everybody in the world. That's how it's going to work. And, what's cool about being part of the community, I mean, even just being an outside onlooker, not even holding a BasedHeads, these contests are going to be pretty substantial from what I understand.
Yes.
I think they were talking about giving away a Yuga asset for our Shaft project. So, and I'm sure there's smaller prizes as well that will be available. So it's exciting. I'm excited. And it's, for me, it's really cool to see, you see all these influencers and you see all these people trying to do the thing out and to get all their subscribers and all of those things. And, sell their products or their sponsored products to people. And this is a very different model, and it's really neat to see it come in from the ground up. You're getting ready. We're seeing, the trials and tribulations and like just the sheer volume of activities that go into making this kind of media powerhouse studio.
So I think this actually brings us to the third pillar of creator economy, because what you were mentioning was exactly that. Because what we've seen with other creators, and also that's the lore of Trashland, right? Karma is a bitch because she brings in all these influencers who have dumped on their followers, who've done all these pump and dumps on their followers, and they've exited with all the liquidity out, extracting it out of the market. And now Karma, being a bitch, is just bringing them all to the trash can and punishing them. Also, if you've seen, putting a drilling machine inside an ear, which is not so super fun to watch, but yeah, so things like that, right? And what we understand from this is you can actually be a full-time fan, right? If you're watching the content, so just imagine, right? So there must be I think Supermassive not Supermassive, sorry, Mr. Beast actually put out a video saying I don't know, just giving out some extravagant price to his 100,000 subscriber, or I don't even know what that is. Yeah, right. So imagine the first subscriber, how he would have felt. I mean, not exactly the first, the first, let's say even 1,000 subscribers who've been following him for a long time. You really can't track that, right, in Web 2. But now in Web 3, you can do that, and you can actually reward the early supporters. And I think just being a full-time fan, is just so amazing to even think about it. But what do you think? Do you want to be a full-time fan of Karma? I mean, I'd love to be a full-time fan of her boobies, but yeah, I'm just saying.
I think you already are. I think it'd be really neat. I mean, right now, I have a very hard time seeing what that looks like. Like, is that us up here making these spaces? Like, do we, you know what I mean? Like, is it us making videos to go along with Supermassive's videos to promote the Don't Give a Fuck clothing line? Is I'm definitely down. I'm in this for the long haul, but I'm just curious. I'm curious how he envisions it to actually play out. But
I'm not sure he even actually knows himself, to be honest. I mean, this whole thing really is a big experiment. I know initially they were thinking of just trying to create basically a DAO wallet that collected all the AdSense revenue from YouTube, and then let the DAO work out how to best distribute that. But for regulation reasons, they couldn't do that, at least initially. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they go. As you mentioned, there's the different brands that they're building products for. So that could be one way where maybe we can't, get money rewards. Perhaps there's product rewards that we can get and have a say in and a part of. And being a based holder is going to make you part of that community where you can help influence those decisions and be involved. But if you actually hold 6 based heads, one from each of the brands, it's basically a mint pass for life. At least that's what Robin has said. So any drop that they make for merch, whether it's physical or digital, supposedly you'll be able to get that for free. So that is one selling point. But I mean, obviously it's a bit of a barrier to entry. So as we move forward and we do get more popular, Robin has actually bought back a bunch of based heads off the open market, and he's going to redistribute those to people that are getting engaged in the community, but maybe aren't fortunate enough to be able to purchase a based head. So that's another cool way to grow the community around the most engaged supporters of it, and help sort of push this thing forward from the community level.
Yeah, and I can speak to his generosity. I was there and I helped during Mint and stuff, and I was just helping because it was fun, and I could see that they could use the help in the chat. And right after Mint, they sent me a full 6 set, or they sent me the 5 to complete my set. So as a surprise gift, I thought that was super generous and super nice. I was so grateful. And he's given away some other ones to some people, and I think that it's very important to him not to limit it just to based holders, to give other people outside of the community, like you said, that may not be able to afford a base head right now, to be able to get involved just based on their activity, which I think is super cool. Because, the more people we have, the stronger the community.
Yeah, I guess if this does blow up to a much broader audience, maybe the merch itself is a way for people to sort of feel included and a part of it without having a based head, whether that's through prizes and giveaways to people that aren't based heads, or just selling this stuff on the market. And I don't think that the brands and stuff they're trying to create is necessarily for profit. So I imagine that the based heads are going to get really good pricing on anything that they are required to pay for if you only hold, one or two based heads. But that there's a good chance these products will become, their own things, their own entities moving forward. And they'll have their own revenue streams and whatnot, just like a traditional business would. I mean, you've seen what Mr. Beast has been able to monetize. Now, obviously, he has, ridiculous number of followers, but as this thing scales up, it can go exponential pretty quickly from a business standpoint as well.
Yeah, and we've seen the quality that Supermassive puts out. I mean, even the videos that he's done so far are pretty, like the meat video, and I'm still waiting for the long version of Pussy by Association. I still have that dang song stuck in my head. And I think, when I was reading the prospectus that he pinned to the top. By the way, if anyone here is not familiar, there is a slide deck and some other good materials pinned at the top of the chat that you can kind of get an idea of everything. And they mentioned in there that they're going to, try to bring in other big brands through Baseheads, and bring them in and, make this a novel marketing opportunity for them. So that'll be really interesting when we get other brands to come through. I'm pretty sure that Rabin has a pretty good idea on a lot of things. When he speaks in chat and stuff, he's got a very clear vision of things. And it's amazing because he still manages to take so much feedback from the community at the same time.
And now a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible. Are you building something cool in Web3? And would you like to get in front of the eyes and minds in one of the most engaged and loyal communities around, the Fluffle? Well, hit me up on my Twitter DMs, as the channel is now seeking its first round of official sponsors. Alternatively, you can support my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. Oh shit. But if your liquidity is also run dry, fear not, because there's some things you can do for free, and it all makes a difference. You can hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, and share this with your friends. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps support the channel. So with all that out of the way, let's get back to the show.
In the same vein, I'm going to go on to my next question, and it has to do with becoming a content creator. And in your opinion, what is the thing that makes a truly great content creator? Harshith, do you have an answer for that? Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think if we actually just go the Supermassive route, I think it's storytelling definitely is one, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tollywood. So Tollywood is actually based in India, and it's a whole different it's like Hollywood, but then it's Tollywood, a regional language. But then if you have seen the latest Grammys, it was not the Grammys, sorry, I don't know what it was. I think it was a Golden Globe Award. I guess it was actually won by this Telugu song called Natu Natu. And so I'm just giving you guys a different perspective from a completely different part of the world. So
I love that.
So I think the way just taking from an audience perspective, just taking you inside the storyline, and it's like a journey, I honestly feel, because you're living it, right? You're actually living it like you are a part of that. So the better you entertain it, the better you hook the audience. I think that's the way it is, because I think I've also heard Mr. B's podcast, and some of them he says you gotta hook the audience in the first 5 seconds. So that's why he just goes on and just says these what the video is about, what are we going to deliver in the first 5 seconds, and then he shoots it because he's setting this like the narrative of what the audience is going to get. So I think that's what I think good storytelling is and what it's going to be about. So I think I am super excited about that. But yes, Pussy Pie is still going on in my head while I'm talking. So yes. Yeah.
Now it's going to be in everybody's head for a while. Gerry, what do you think it makes a great content? You are a great content creator. So, what is your big tenet and secret for being a great content creator?
Thanks for that little shout out. I mean, yeah, it's all new to me, so I'm still finding my way, but I guess it really depends on the nature of the actual content that you're trying to produce. It is hard to tell a story about Web3 stuff, admittedly, but Robin found a way to do it with the Defiant, and that's why he's been so successful so far and been able to incubate this project. But for me, I mean, most of my content is, it's trying to just keep people informed. Kind of like how you said, Michelle, I'm a bit of a nerd as well, and lurking in several Discords and Twitters and trying to just distill a bunch of information for people, because Web3 is just so fast. It's really hard to keep on top of things. So basically, once I worked out what the Futureverse was about, I kind of couldn't unsee it, and I just went, so to speak, got deep down that rabbit hole, and I've barely been able to climb out of it to look at the rest of the ecosystem and the industry as a whole. I'm missing heaps of other stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to accept that, because you can't cover everything. So for me, it's just about trying to provide as much value as I possibly can hopefully in a short space of time, so the user's engaged enough to hang around to the end of the video, because that's how the YouTube algorithm is set up. It's all about clicks, and it's all about your viewer time, and then the algorithm supposedly will start pushing your work. So that's been the biggest thing for me, but it really depends on the nature of your content, and there's an art to all of it. Short form stuff, that's totally different to your long form educational stuff, and I think that's why BasedAF is going to be targeting multiple mediums. They'll have some big high budget stuff, and they're even working on a feature film apparently already. That's in the works, and they're trying to time that for about 2 years' time to coincide with the next sort of Bitcoin halving and bull run for crypto. But they're also going to be doing the really low effort meme stuff that just comes over TikTok and the YouTube Reels. You've seen a hint of that with the Fraz hacks leading up into Christmas. So check out the BasedAF YouTube page if you haven't seen those. They're only a couple of minutes of your time, and they'll give you a good giggle. But for me, it's just providing value, whether that's education or entertainment. At the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing. Obviously, the entertainment stuff, everyone loves entertainment, and that's universal, and that's why you'll see most of these bigger accounts trying to do some form of storytelling.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That storytelling bit is I think the key. You got to take people down an emotional journey, and then they follow you, and they keep following you. And we've seen it with the people that came over from Supermassive when he was a Defiant, because he has an entire fan base that came over with us. So that's amazing. And I would also like to take this moment to mention that Harshith is also an amazing creator and has an awesome YouTube. And if you could post your YouTube up there at the top, Harshith, so everyone could find you, that would be really awesome. I am not a content.
Don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of keen for a Fraz. Anyone else?
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious, with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS!
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
Can we do a Pussy Pie, please?
Available at fine retailers near you soon. That's fantastic. I just want to let everybody know that, this is an open forum. So if anyone would like to come up and speak and talk about the metaverse and BasedHeads, please just raise your hand and we'll bring you up.
Yeah. And also, I think because we just heard the phrase, and I also hold a phrase, and I think I would like to have my phrase as my PFP. I mean, the other base heads I hold, I think I'll be holding them, but this phrase NFT, I actually chose it because I like the aesthetic. So I think what's best about it is, I mean, though Michelle and I are part of the team, but this is like not from We Are Based AF Twitter Spaces, right? It's like a spoiler, but we're also talking about We Are Based AF. But here, what we're actually trying to do is we're leveraging the IP of our based heads, right? Because with our based heads, we can do whatever we want to do because we actually remit the rights of A16Z CBE exclusive licensing model. So, which gives us rights to do like print T-shirts or make your own merch or I don't know, like protein bars, or even what we're doing right now, like the Twitter Spaces, right? So we have the rights to leverage our base heads. So I'm like super excited about what can come out of it. Maybe even like, I don't know, comics or I don't know. I think it'd be cool, right? Create our own storyline, create our own comics out of it. So yeah, what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, I think, we have Mango that's also he's doing the Sixers radio, which is phenomenal. He plays the best music for sitting and concentrating on things. And I think, man, there's so many ideas floating around the Discord. There's so many creative people. I'm really excited to see how people leverage these guys. That's one of the reasons I was very cognizant about, the PFP that I chose. I don't have it up right now, but the PFP that I chose, I've really identified with it because I want to figure out how to use it across brands and around, and I'm excited for it. Gerry, what are you going to use yours for?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but it's going to be really cool to see what they do come up with when they make them more PFP friendly, and that will sort of help with the social signaling side. I'm actually personally not a huge fan of the whole PFP culture around crypto, but that's just me. Maybe I'm a bit old school in that way. I just don't get it because for me, after a while, everything looks the same. Every fluff, every Bored Ape. I mean, it's all just one account to me. So yeah. I guess that's the problem. You need to break out of just a PFP, and that's where the metaverse rails and all of that's going to come in, where hopefully you can start to produce, deeper content around your avatars. And maybe that's using some of the video tech, and maybe even using the BasedHeads studios for stuff. That'll be fascinating to see how that evolves over time, where maybe Based AF in a way becomes a bit of a platform for other creators to leverage and use. That's sort of how I'm thinking of it. But I mean, really, for me, the BasedHeads, it's that membership pass that's to be involved at a deeper level, because I just think this has so much potential to become something really special in the space, and that's why I'm here today talking to you all about it.
Yeah, I think that platform piece is really interesting, right? Because mine is a head crank, and once I figure out how I want to leverage that, if someone searches head crank, they're going to get all of the head crank things that every head crank is going to do, and so hopefully they get kind of lost in that wormhole of exploring head crank as a whole, not just my things. So I think that's maybe a way that it will be leveraged. And like you said, the studio and using the animation pieces eventually is going to be 3D figures released of our creatures. And that's going to be really interesting because I've seen some of the wild stuff that people have created with the 3D avatars that other projects have given them. There's some really talented people out there doing some really great stuff, especially even with AI. Now you throw AI on top of that, right? Like once we can say, take this picture and follow this story, follow this script with this other picture, it's going to be really wild in the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah, one thing that I quite like the vibe of with the way that they're moving forward with the Web3 stuff is Bruno from RMRK. He's one of the seed investors in Based AF, and he's got a protocol that's built on the Polkadot ecosystem that allows you to have basically a lot more depth to your NFTs, where you can build in extra layers of utility around them. So I think once we have our 3D asset, they're going to become dynamic and evolve over time. So I think that's how you drive. For someone like me who's sort of, even though I own them, I don't really identify with them that much yet. But once I'm running around in the metaverse and I start slapping on, different badges from the brands, and I start buying things out of the vending machines and adding character and flavor to it, that's when I'll probably start to bond with my little character a lot more. And I think that's where you can drive value as well around this RMRK protocol that looks like is going to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun. I can't wait. I love the swappable NFTs. It's cheesy, but like in every game that I've ever played on my, console or whatever, just creating the character and making it your own. It's such a easy way to get emotionally attached to them.
Well, I guess that's how it all works with traditional gaming these days, isn't it? All these gaming companies make all their money off their skins, don't they? Pretty much. That's how all the young whippersnappers do it. They spend all their money on Fortnite skins and whatnot.
Yeah, Roblox skins, Fortnite skins, all of the above. It's pretty interesting, actually, to watch. For Christmas this last year, I was out at a store, and I was standing next to wherever the Roblox things were. And I had, just in the time that I was shopping for something that was not Roblox, I had 3 people that were walked over because they asked someone, "Where's the Roblox cards?" And just to see how prolific it is, it's impressive. There's one gentleman I know who pays his kid allowance in Roblox, which is absurd to me because my mom never let me spend money like that on video games. But it's cool. It's going to be interesting. And even when we get to the being able to play to earn those Roblox, which is one of the Web3 tenets. Like you play to earn whatever bucks there are to do the things. Like you'll be able to go and maybe you go watch a video or an ad for something, and you get money that you can go get a new crank for your head in the vending machine. Like that's
certainly. That sounds like that's the model that they're trying to build into the Trashland law and whatnot with these Quan bucks, which are going to be some non-tradable, at least like on a decentralized exchange, tokens that are basically just a proof of work, if you like, that you've been involved and participated and done something for the ecosystem or within an event. But then you'll be able to use those Quan bucks to purchase extra things for your avatars, maybe even redeem it for some physical merch. That type of thing. So that'll be fun, just the gamification around it all. That's probably a year or 2 away, but it's fun that they're already thinking about these things, at day one.
Yeah, and we're building the community all out. So, and there's some great ideas from the community as well. Like you said, he's managed to bring in all of these great communities together, which is pretty neat too. Because I get exposed to communities that I haven't been around before. And, because there's some communities, kind of like Fluff, that kind of all travel in packs around to different things. And it's cool to be able to interact with people outside of the immediate ecosystem. Let's see. Let's talk YouTube. What is the most interesting thing that you've seen on YouTube in the last week? Harshith?
The thing with me is after every video that I watch, I clear my browsing history.
So no evidence. Okay, we'll go to Gerry because Harshith is all under wraps.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's been looking at, but I bet you it's not on YouTube. Yeah, so a little gem that I found. To be honest, my YouTube feed is pretty bad. It's a really weird mix because I have like an Android TV hooked up to my projector, so it's a mix of all of my little niche interests mixed with my wife's. And it's hard to break out of those recommendations. So for me, it's all like football, crypto, tiny houses, shit like that. It's just very random. But I've been trying to make more of an effort to actually digest some of the content that Robin himself has gone, geez, these guys are great storytellers. And I stumbled across this Aussie bloke called Bo Miles. And he's just some, down-to-earth guy who loves to run around in the bush, big red bushy beard. And he's got a video called Running 43 Kilometres Along a Hidden Railway Line. And it's not too far from where I live. And I just found it really interesting, his story of literally this man just running on an old forgotten railway line that's been hasn't been used since 1958. He ran through, I think it was 106 farms and about, 1,000 fences with a shovel in his hand to get rid of blackberries and whatnot. But it was just a really interesting story, and he's a really good storyteller. So that was something that unexpectedly I quite enjoyed, and it's had like 2.5 million views. So obviously other people do as well.
Oh, interesting. It's funny you mentioned him because he came up on one of my other feeds, I think on Twitter, and one of my friends had posted about him, and they're like, but why the shovel? And I'm glad to know that it's for the blackberries. How far is he running? Is he doing it like over days, or?
He did it in like maybe about 12 hours, but he had to go around a lot of houses and jumping all these fences and, getting lost here and there. And the cops pulled him over at one point, like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Running through all these people's farms with a shovel in your hand. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting watch. So it's just nice to find something new. And since I've watched that, I'm starting to get some better recommendations on my feed, where it's not just all football, crypto and tiny houses. So that's good.
I had the same thing with my husband where he would watch crazy stuff. And it's funny because he really likes cat videos. And he likes the court TV videos. And I'm watching how to do something on Adobe or, a painting technique. And we ended up with that crazy concoction too. So I made him get his own profile, even though he still doesn't switch it back and forth like he's supposed to. So I still have lots of cat videos, but I can't be mad at the cat videos. And I think the most interesting thing that I saw this week is I got into, it's not new, but it's something that apparently there's a lot of them. And there's these gentlemen that are building full-on mud houses and pools in the forest with just their hands in the mud and like bamboo. And that's amazing. Yeah.
I've seen that. It's mesmerizing. Hey, like you can just watch it and zen out to it because there's no dialogue or anything. It's just these two dudes sped up building these houses with their hands. I've seen those. They're amazing.
Yeah, I think they build like swimming pools as well, like villas. They're actually just better than LA mansions, to be honest.
Yes. I was like, honey, we have to pull up the pavers in the back because we need to build a pool back there. And he brought in, and they bring in the pool like one bowl at a time, which was insane to watch. It reminded me back of when I was a kid and we used to build forts in the forest, but we definitely didn't build any forts of that nature. But maybe in the future, when we all live on our tropical islands with our BasedHeads. Well, it looks like we're actually up against an hour perfectly. Did anybody have anything else that they wanted to add? I want to be respectful of everybody's time.
If no one's willing to jump up out of the crowd, I'll probably just mention that it looks like that the video that the guys have been working really hard on, this Metaverse marathon video, it's going to be almost like a quasi-documentary by the sounds of it, that's due to land this week. They have said that for the last couple of weeks, but they've had a huge amount of technical problems. So keep your eyes peeled on the BasedHead Twitter page and the YouTube channel, and that'll give you a much better idea of the potential of what this project's going to represent. But other than that, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a blast.
I had to do it, guys. At least once in the quiz, I had to do it.
Thank you. It was in my head, so I appreciate it. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And we'll be back again next week. I think we're going to move our time probably a little later to accommodate, because we have some friends who are doing some shows at this exact time, so we don't want to conflict. But thank you, everybody. And hopefully next time we bring some of you guys up to chat with us. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!